Now, the travel and tourism sector is heading into this festive season on a good note. Well, the numbers don't lie. Take a look at this. The sector is continuing to show strong signs of recovery. And according to the statistics, the first half of 2022 recorded 474 million international tourists, compared to 175 million during the same period in 2021. You could see that after the lockdown of COVID-19 in the world, people really were keen to travel, benefiting the tourism sector. Now, that's the global picture. Let's tell you now about locally what the numbers look like here at home. The first quarter of the year welcomed 1.7 million travelers through South African ports of entry. Now, listen to this, it's 136% increase, 136% increase compared to the same period in 2021. These numbers are really good. Let's unpack this and take a look forward, discussing this upward trend. I'm joined now by John Friel. He's the country manager at Travel Start. Good afternoon, John. Thank you very much for your time. It's today here on eNCA. Welcome. Good numbers, I guess, locally and globally. I'm sure the travel and tourism industry is really breathing a huge sigh of relief after the global lockdowns.
You know what? These numbers make me so happy. After a really turbulent couple of years, those numbers don't lie. 474 million tourists moving around the world freely, almost freely. And here in South Africa, we're enjoying exactly the same. Some fantastic numbers coming out of many different parts of the world. People looking to come into South Africa, even during our winter season, which is typically, from a trending perspective, the low season. The numbers have been phenomenal. The entire industry across the entire ecosystem is looking forward to a bumper season and a healthy 2023.
Will the African tourism industry, in general terms, and specifically South Africa, manage to restore its pre-pandemic state?
The numbers look like they absolutely will. What is definitely helping the inbound tourist market into South Africa at the moment is actually the weakness of the rand, which is great for those tourists coming in with their pounds and their dollars and their euros, because it's great value for money. So the tourist industry across the board, across the entire ecosystem, whether it's the beaches in Durban, the winelands of Cape Town, the Kruger, we should really be looking forward to a packed festive season with lots of people enjoying this stunning country. Domestically as well, we're seeing very strong demand. So in terms of South Africans travelling, it's on the rise. People are travelling in their numbers domestically, and also looking for those trips overseas. So all in all, there's really nothing that we can see right now that is anything negative other than what is looking incredibly positive.
Yeah, my editor this afternoon, Peter Mutlozi, said I must ask you about the cost of travel, because we've seen a rise in airline tickets, for example, as the sector is recovering. Are you expecting record high price increases in the sector?
Yes. Quite bluntly, yes. We see that across all sectors. We're seeing domestic airfares at levels that certainly in the 22 years I've been in South Africa I've never seen them so high. And also on the international side, prices are also at very high levels. And really, it does come down to simple economics. The demand is very high across all sectors, and the capacity is still constrained. Domestically, we're constrained, Comair went, unfortunately, into liquidation earlier this year. That took a lot of seats out of the market. Our friends at our local airlines, FlySafair, Airlink, Lyft, Semair, have done a great job to bring as much capacity into the market. But quite simply, the supply and the demand are just not equaling each other at this moment in time. And we foresee that happening into the early part of next year. And internationally, pretty much the same. As I said earlier, the inbound market is very, very strong, which is great. But that means that the flights are very full. And again, simple economics in the airline world, supply, demand, if it's high, high fares. So yeah, expect to pay higher than normal.
Yeah, and it will be advisable there if you want to be traveling to book as early as possible.
Without question, absolutely. That is what we are echoing loud and clear, not only for the festive season. The festive season is just upon us, but book now and book early for next year. Boring things need to be done, like getting a visa, for example. Book early, book now. If you want to go to the States, just as an example, to the US, the earliest that you'll get a visa appointment for the US is actually March next year. So if you think about it, what does booking early do? Number one, you are going to get the best price by booking early. Number two, you can get yourself organized, take all those hassles out of your traveling plans, your accommodation, your visas. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I think, the lead up to a trip can be as exciting sometimes as the trip itself. So book in advance, plan it in advance, and enjoy that experience of looking forward to a phenomenal trip.
Yeah, well, the sector showing these strong signs of recovering. And finally, the bigger picture, in your press release, you mentioned the number of jobs that you expect the tourism industry, the South African tourism industry, could create over the next decade. And it's an unbelievable number. And tourism sector could lead the region's economic recovery post the pandemic.
Absolutely. Big numbers we're looking at. We're talking about 14 million jobs over that period. And if this recovery continues, it really is a phenomenal good news story post a very, very bleak pandemic. 14 million people coming into, the job cycle is great news for the economy. And tourism touches every part of the economy. And we really do believe that the signs are there, and it's great news for all of us.